Chester, thanks so much for joining us. You report that an Israeli cybersecurity company, Argus Cybersecurity, was able to remotely hack into a running car and shut down the engine. How did they do this?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, but basically they were able to take advantage of a little port that's installed on most cars made since 1996, which has increasingly become popular for people to monitor their engine's performance. It's actually the same port on a vehicle that mechanics use when you take your car in for a checkup. But recently, there's a whole market for these things called dongles, little palm-sized devices you plug right in, and it gives you readouts of engine performance, fuel use, that type of thing. When that's connected to a smartphone with a Bluetooth link, it is, in this case, vulnerable to attack from potentially malicious users.
Well, it sounds like a huge risk considering how reliant cars are becoming on computers. So how are car manufacturers addressing this, or the manufacturers of these dongles? Are they putting up firewalls?
Yeah, the manufacturers of the dongles are trying to come up with software patches to prevent unauthorized access into the communications. The car companies are basically scrambling to build firewalls to prevent these consumer applications from accessing the messages that cars used for critical equipment like brakes and steering and the engine and transmission. That has long been kind of a private preserve for automakers, but as you say, cars get more connected, and people are using their mobile devices and want to learn more about what's going on with their cars. It's getting increasingly difficult to keep that internal messaging system separate from outside access.
Absolutely. Now, did Argus reveal the model and make of the car they hacked into, and did they reveal the manufacturer of that car's dongle?
They didn't say the vehicle, although they did say that theoretically any vehicle since 1996 could be susceptible because they've all got these ports to plug in the dongle. The dongle manufacturer Bosch, a large German auto supplier, says that it did acknowledge that its system was broken into, hacked, and that they've come up with a temporary fix and hope to come up with a more permanent solution. But it certainly is a wake-up call, not just for the parts suppliers like Bosch, but for the industry as a whole.
Absolutely. So does this require that everybody replace their dongle, or is there software that can be uploaded to make your current dongle safer?
Yeah, well, in this case, we should be careful to say it's only for this one dongle made by Bosch and really only distributed in Europe. But it does point to the question of how many other dongles could be susceptible to similar attacks. The manufacturers, should be able to come up with software patches to prevent this. But the problem is that, as more hackers look for loopholes or little flaws in software, more of these instances are probably going to come up.
Certainly don't want to hear about this when you start talking about autonomous cars, correct? I mean, that's a really scary scenario.
Absolutely, yeah. And the auto industry is racing to try to, come up with measures to prevent this. But the problem is, they're doing that with the one hand. On the other hand, they're trying to make cars increasingly connected. So it's definitely a double-edged sword for the industry going forward, and one that they're going to have to pay a lot more attention to.
Absolutely. Chester Dawson, thank you so much for all that.
Thank you.